Morning, good morning.
Good morning.
We'll do a little bit of a short class today because I'm on my way to do mitzvot. Mazal tov, mazal tov. Which mitzvah am I on the way to do or to help someone do this mitzvah? The mitzvah
There's two mitzvot.
So which
You're
one?
marrying off your
Right,
son,
right.
and you're helping Kala and
Right, so let's think in terms of the 613 mitzvot. Is there a mitzvah to get married? Very interesting.
to get married.
Yeah, so there's a mitzvah to marry. So it's very interesting. Very good, very good. Very good. Right. So you're only allowed to have children if you're married. So you sort of have to get married if you want to have children. So, and to have children, of course, is pruvu, the first mitzvah in the Torah. You should be fruitful and multiply. And so many people, though, they misunderstand because they start in the right place. It's true. You should start with the mitzvah to be fruitful and multiply. And of course, that's one major reason we get married, to have children. It's very important to the first mitzvah in the Torah, as we said. But, what if somebody can't have children? It's still a mitzvah to get married. Someone's older. An older woman can't have children anymore. It's still a mitzvah to get married. There's an interesting discussion whether... excuse me, 1 second. סגה, כן, משהו מהר, כי אני באמצע שיעור, כן. לא, זה לא רלוונטי כרגע. תודה, כל טוב. Sorry, he's helping me do the mitzvah. He's an amazing fellow. So many people help you out when you're trying to arrange a marriage. It's beautiful. Yeah, some people want to help. Some people think they're helping. So all kinds of beautiful people. In any case, the mitzvah to get married applies even if you don't... I was starting to say that there's a debate, pruvu, who does it devolve on? Who does the mitzvah devolve on? Perhaps only the man has a mitzvah to be fruitful and multiply, and the woman is not obligated. There's even an opinion that the sages said you can't obligate a woman to have children. Number one, because it's natural. She wants to have children. It's a mother instinct. But number two, mitzvot are supposed to be enjoyable. Mitzvahs are supposed to be something that you can do without crazy, horrible experiences. And childbirth is one of the most painful things in the world.
People have trauma.
Of course, childbirth is very, very painful. I don't know personally, but I know personally, as the husband of a woman who gave birth to 4 children, it's not easy. And some people say that's why the Torah doesn't command the woman. The man has to have children. Obviously, the man is not going to be able to have children unless he has a wife. It's the way God made the world, that it takes 2 to tango, as they say. So it could be that the definition of the actual mitzvah of puravu is on the man. And then when a woman marries him, she basically commits herself to help him in his mitzvah. But that's, again, only if you're going to have children. What if you're not going to have children? What if you can't have children? So there seems, and again, the mitzvah would be only for the man. Is there any mitzvah on the woman to get married other than that she wants to get married? We all know that women are usually the ones who are pushing for commitment in the relationship. There seems to be a mitzvah on the woman equally on the man from a different direction, from a different angle. What is the mitzvah to get married? Where does it come from? Adam and Eve. What about Adam and Eve? It doesn't, they're commanded to be fruitful and multiply. It does say in the Torah that it's not good for man to be alone, and therefore I will create for him a a helpmate. But that's God saying it's not good. It isn't necessarily a positive commandment. Go ahead and get married. So when you get married, what positive commandment would you be fulfilling other than having children? There is perhaps the most important mitzvah in the Torah.
To make your wife happy?
There's no actually mitzvah to be happy necessarily. To make your wife happy. I don't know of any source for that. What else?
It's connected, but we are obligated to do Brit Milah.
Only if you have. Okay, but again, you're connecting it to the children. So I'm saying disconnected from the children. Even if you're not going to have children. What mitzvah can you fulfill when you get married? More so than when you're not set? We just said that. That's one aspect. What if you're not going to procreate? What if you're not going to be fulfilling?
It's a mitzvah of your wife.
Good. Close. Is there a mitzvah in the Torah to love someone? It's a mitzvah to love Hashem. Is there another mitzvah in the Torah to love someone? The opposite.
I was just learning about this because I was reading the 613 mitzvah by Rabbi.
Excellent. Love your fellow as yourself. Exactly.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's the
And they
one.
say the fellow.
You got it. Now people think about. Usually we translate it. It's v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha in Hebrew, right? Usually it gets translated as love your neighbor as yourself. And so because of that translation, I don't know who started that translation. Because of that, everybody thinks I should love my neighbor. It means I have to, the secular Jew who's my next door neighbor, I have to love him. And even the guy who's, but really the neighbor is a different word than Rea. Rea means your friend.
Friend comes with many forms.
Exactly. So, there's different types of love between man and man. There's love of a parent. What other types of relationships, loving relationships are there? We said other than loving God. What?
There's you and Hashem. There's the way you feel about your neighbor, your fellow Jew. There's the way you feel about your spouse, the way you feel about your kids.
Sure.
The way you feel about your Rav, they're all different.
That's right. That's right.
We
So,
avoid that in the approach to Tefillah.
yeah. Right. So there's different types of love. You love your children not the same way you love your parents, and you love your friends. It's not the same way you love your spouse. And Rabbi Akiva says that the context that we should understand for Jewish marriage is loving your neighbor like yourself, loving your friends. Loving your friends? Well, ultimately, it's okay. It's sometimes it can be easier to love. It's nice to have a beer with a buddy, right? It's fun. Your friends, you hang out, you have common experiences. But there's no question that the level of intimacy, the level of connection which you have in a relationship with a spouse, a husband and wife, can reach new levels, heights of love. Obviously, there's the physical expression, which is only appropriate in between a married couple. And so you can express your love in more ways, but also the very nature of the love is you know your friend, but hopefully you're going to know your wife or your husband on a much deeper level. And therefore the love can grow the more the intimate relationship grows. The deeper the relationship is, the deeper the love. And so ultimately we can say that the height, the big pinnacle of the fulfillment of the mitzvah to love your neighbor is not with the neighbor down the hall, or with the guy in the dorm room next to you, or the guy in the Beit Midrash. As much as you love them and you're very happy with them and you do good things for them and you're very nice to everybody, when you choose one person to live the rest of your life with, that love can reach a much deeper level, a much more intense level, a much higher level. As I said, it gets expressed in different ways, and also physical ways, and therefore there's another mitzvah that you fulfill when you get married. Fulfill the mitzvah of loving your neighbor as yourself. Mitzvah of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Now, there's many different types of marriages. It's different types of relationships. Not everybody has the same marriage. But the ideal, the highest, this is your, as I say to sometimes to chatanim, that I speak to, that I give some guidance to sometimes. This is your chance. This is it. This is your opportunity to have a very close relationship with another human being. Closest relationship you can have. As close as your relationship with your parents might be, as close as your relationship with your children might be, as close as a relationship with your friends might be. A marital relationship can and should be the deepest and the most intense level of loving your neighbor. So it's just like there's a mitzvah to love your Hashem, you're supposed to love, we say it every day in the Shema, V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. All your heart, all your soul, and with all your might. So the equivalent is you should love, again, they say it in English, your neighbor, but it means love your friend, or I'll say it really, what I'm trying to say now is you should love your wife. I'm speaking to men here. So for the women, I'd say love your husband. And that's this mitzvah that you fulfill in marriage is equally fulfilled by women. It equally devolves as an obligation on women as it does on the men. Maybe only the man has the mitzvah of puravu, but a woman definitely has a mitzvah of loving their friend. Which friend are they going to love? Are they going to love their girlfriends? Sure, they love their girlfriends. They have all sorts of relationships, but the highest and most intense love of another fellow human being. That's what the Torah means when it says you should love your friend. The word reya means friend, because obviously that's where the love develops. But basically, the mitzvah in the Torah is, don't only love God. You're supposed to love your fellow man, or fellow woman, as the particular situation is. So loving someone else, loving a significant other, I believe is the words, which are many times used nowadays. Loving another human being is a mitzvah in the Torah. And the most intense and fulfilling also way that you can do have such a relationship is when you have, of course, a monogamous relationship with someone that you're committed to. In other words, with your spouse in a marriage. So yes, it's a mitzvah. There's two mitzvahs which you fulfill by getting married. Primarily, I'd say one is having children. The other one is loving a fellow human being in the most intense way possible. So it's important to recognize that this is a mitzvah, to have a relationship with another human being. People think, oh, mitzvahs, I want to do the mitzvahs. I gotta buy the best pair of tefillin, buy techelet, buy the best type of tzitzis, and I'm going to be very careful about Shabbat. I'm not going to violate the Shabbat, and I'm going to daven very hard. It's true, those are all big mitzvahs in the Torah. There's also the mitzvah in the Torah between man and man. Of course, those were all examples of between man and God. But there's between man and man. Okay, so there's a mitzvah to help someone unload his donkey. Okay? That's one mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to give back a lost item. As a matter of fact, some people say that a man and woman, a couple, are destined for each other. It's like when the first man went to sleep and God took out his rib or his side. Tzela is the Hebrew. Tzela could mean side, it could mean rib, whatever it was. He woke up and he was missing something. He said, what? Where's my wallet? No. Where's my credit card? He says, where's my better half? And so he goes throughout his life searching. Luckily, in the Garden of Eden, there was not too many choices. There was just only one. And really, that shows you that when you get married, you should appreciate that there's really, for you, there's only one woman. And we say in the blessings of the marriage that you should be happy and God should bless this couple like the couple like they had love in Gan Eden. So what was so special about the love in Gan Eden? In Gan Eden, there was only one. It's only one. So when you focus in on one woman and you search for her, sometimes you search for years till you find your soulmate. Essentially, you could say that you're fulfilling the mitzvah, or she's fulfilling the mitzvah of hashavat aveidah, of returning a lost object. You lost your rib or your side, and now you're getting it back. So there's a coming back together again. But anyways, there's many mitzvot between man and man. And returning a lost object, we said, don't steal. We've just read it in the 10 Commandments. Right? There's many bad things you can do. Don't kill. Those are mitzvot between man and man. There's another mitzvah, a positive commandment to do between man and man, and that is to love. So fine, you're supposed to love every Jew. Every Jew you're supposed to love.
Like have a best friend?
Have a best friend for sure.
Even
Have it. So again, all of the mitzvot of the Torah only refer to the Jewish people. That's the context of the 613 mitzvot. There's other mitzvot which apply in a larger context of non-Jews. But in general, the general principle is whenever we talk about the mitzvah, it only refers to Jews. So yes, love your fellow Jew only applies to fellow Jews. There may be another reason to love every human being. Every human being was created in the image of God. There's a lot to be said. Of course, we have to care for not only every human being, but every being. Remember, we just learned the laws of Tsar Ba'alei Chayim. You're not allowed to cause pain to any of God's creatures. And we saw many details about that. So, of course, there's levels of concern and care that you have to show for everybody and everything. But for every Jew is another whole level. And the mitzvah to love your fellow Jew applies only to Jews. And I'm saying even more so, it applies particularly to your spouse. More so than any other neighbor or Jew or friend. Even if you have a best friend, hopefully your best friend will be your wife. That's the ideal goal. Okay, now we'll take some questions. Moshe.
So you're talking about Chava coming from Adam's rib, isn't it? There's a midrashic explanation that he was like split in half.
Right, so that's what I was saying. The word tzela has two meanings. One is the rib and one is a side. And that's like the Siamese twins type of thing, that actually men and women were created back to back. Actually, I should say like this. They were co-joined on the back. They each had a face and arms and legs, but they were facing outwards. And in order for them to come back together, God had to split them apart. And then, the theory goes, this way, when they come back together again, it's even better. Because they don't have to come back together back to back. They can come back face to face. And that's a symbolic of different levels of the relationship. You can have a relationship which is called a back-to-back relationship, which is, you're joined. You might have, be doing things together, but it doesn't have the intimacy of a front to front. The frontal relationship expresses a deeper relationship, and there's also in between. There's back to front, and front to back. There's 4 stages, of course, right? Back to back. One side turns, the other side turns. Ideal, the highest level of relationship is face to face. Face to face. The pasuk says, "Kemaim hapanim el hapanim, kein lev ha'adam la'adam." Like water. What is water? You look into water, you see your reflection. It reflects what you feel, what you see is reflected in the water. The water reflects it back to you. So too it works with hearts. Kein lev ha'adam la'adam. That one heart can feel, bounce off someone else's heart. And so when you feel for someone else, they feel with you. That's the way it works. Relationships are usually reciprocal. And that's the highest level. I think that's what they mean when they say face to face, as opposed to, and it's not such an intimate relationship, or it's not such a healthy relationship. You can have back-to-back relationships. It happens. Maybe we would call that a functional relationship. Okay, listen, I need to have children, and I can't do it myself, so I'll find someone. And the woman can say that, and the man can say that, and we get along well enough, good enough. So you'll fulfill at least one mitzvah of pruruvu, and of course you have to take care of the children a bit, and you have to have some business together, but you'll be missing out on the deeper relationship of the mitzvah of ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Maybe you can find someone dear enough. Right? There's terms of endearment. There's different levels of. As a matter of fact, when we say in the blessings of the Jewish marriage, we speak about joy. I think there's 7 different types of joy mentioned. Asher bara sason v'simcha gila rina ditza chedva ahava achva shalom v'reut. 10 types of love, of joy. Sason, simcha, gila, joy, rina, song, titza, jubilation, chedva comes from endearment. Ahava, of course, love. Achva comes from the word brother. You're connected to your brothers, whether you like them or not. Right? There's a sibling connection, which is blood. You're with your wife, you're not blood. So it's a different relationship. But there's an element of 10 different elements of a marriage. Achva, v'shalom, of course. What do you say when you want to wish someone that he should have a good marriage? Usually we call it shalom bayit, peace in the home. Shalom bayit, peace in the home. The opposite, of course, is when you don't have shalom bayit. It means you've got marital dysfunction. You've got problems in your relationship. So you go to someone for help. It's very important to get help. Sometimes you can work it out yourselves. The best therapy is talking and spending time together and trying to understand each other. But sometimes you go to a professional, a third party. A third party, you go to someone for help with shlom bayit, for creating peace in the home. And the last word is re'ut. Re'ut, shalom ve're'ut in the blessing. We just said, Rea means your friend. So friendship is an important part of a marriage relationship. Other questions, comments so far? Hirsch?
Is mutar to have non-Jewish friends, yes?
I don't see why not. Yeah, there's specific, as we're going to see when we learn the laws of kashrut. There's specific rules about eating from their food and their wine and their bread and their cooking and so forth. There are rules, but nobody said anywhere that you're not allowed to be friendly with non-Jews. I didn't say that. We're going to read the rules. I don't think those are included. Depends how they're cooked. Depends who cooks them and so forth. Non-Jewish friends. It's of course so dangerous if you're of the opposite sex. And you get closer and closer, you may be attracted. Unfortunately, friends of ours. It's very sad. Very sad. Their daughter went to America. And she went on behalf of the Zionist movement to go and attract people to, be Zionist and to make Aliyah. She did a great job. She's a tremendous girl. She's from a religious family. She just announced her engagement to, an Afro-American that she fell in love with, who is not Jewish. And it's a tremendous rupture in the family. Terrible situation. they'll be coming to our wedding tonight, but I'm not going to be going to their children's wedding. I can't go to a wedding of a Jew and a non-Jew. That's the worst thing you can do, and they won't expect me to either. Hopefully it'll be broken off. But hopefully she'll find a Jewish boy to marry. But it's a big problem. So you have to be careful when you have relationships with non-Jews. You could be. There's nothing forbidden about being friends, but you gotta be wary. You have a follow-up question on that, and then I'll take the others.
It's asur to go to a wedding between Jew and non-Jew, but is it mutar to go to a wedding between two non-Jews?
If it's not in a church, if there's no avodah zarah involved, if there's no, I'm just saying, it's many times, non-Jewish weddings, it depends what the wedding's like. The ceremony is a religious component. It could be problematic. But to go celebrate with two non-Jews who are marrying each other and there's no, no foreign religions involved, it shouldn't be a problem. Moshe.
I just wanted to say, when I was at the wedding of my second cousin. A few years ago, I was sitting next to my great aunt, my grandmother's younger sister, and she was mentioning how sad it was that he was marrying a non-Jew. I mean, he was not halakhically Jewish, or she was not Jewish in any sense. And I had to bite my tongue and say, well, maybe you shouldn't have married a non-Jew. I did not say that to her, but that's
it's very difficult. Very difficult. Yeah. Assimilation. They say it's the silent Holocaust. I never compare anything to a Holocaust. I'm very careful because the Holocaust is very unique, and I don't like people using it to compare it. Sometimes it can cause the Holocaust to be cheapened. But you just look at the figures, and the assimilation is killing us. It's killing the Jewish people. It's a horrible thing.
At least amongst the younger Jews, I'm starting to see more people say we must reject assimilation and return to roots. I'm starting to see it slowly. So
there's always hope. I wouldn't call it a silver lining, but I would call it hope. Yes, there's hope for return. Ezrat Hashem. Everybody sitting in this room, there's hope. There's hope for return. Baruch Hashem. It's beautiful. Other questions about marriage? I think we're going to leave it at this for today because I have some things to take care of.
You have a wedding to get to, right?
I got a wedding to get to. Absolutely. And Ezrat Hashem, in the proper time, each and every one of you will find your spouse and merit to fall in love, not fall in love, to jump into love and grow in love and fulfill all the mitzvot of the Torah. Mazal tov.